In the 6th century BCE, Cyrus the Great established the Achaemenid Empire. Expanding outward from modern-day Iran, his forces absorbed Medes, Lydians, and Babylonians, creating a contiguous territory larger than any the ancient world had ever recorded. Yet for a ruler who commanded the known world and meticulously documented his conquests, his end remains a blank page. The exact circumstances of his death, around 530 BCE, are a complete mystery. The Persians themselves left no written account of his final days. Instead, everything modern historians know about the end of Cyrus's reign comes from the surviving texts of ancient Greek writers. There is a major problem with these primary sources. They do not agree with one another. In fact, they offer 3 completely contradictory stories about how the Persian king died. If we want to understand the true end of ancient history's most successful conqueror, we have to look past the legends to find the narrative that best aligns with the physical reality. Xenophon presents a version where Cyrus never fell in battle at all. He claims the king died a peaceful, natural death in his bed, taking his final days to pass down royal wisdom to his 2 sons. Herodotus provides a much more famous and much more violent alternative. He writes that Cyrus launched an invasion into the Caspian steppes to attack a nomadic tribe known as the Pasargadae. In this telling, the invincible Persian king is soundly defeated. The local ruler, Queen Tomyris, takes her revenge by decapitating Cyrus and shoving his severed head into a skin bag filled with human blood. A third writer, Ctesias, claims that Cyrus fought a nomadic tribe and sustained a fatal wound in combat, but he insists that the Persians actually won the battle. Skeptical. When evaluating these texts, we have to factor in the author's motives. These Greek accounts are heavily layered with epic romance, dramatic storytelling, and deep anti-Persian biases. To find the most likely scenario, we need to cross-examine these written testimonies against the physical evidence the Persians left behind in the dirt and stone of Iran. We start our investigation by traveling to Pasargadae. Located in the southwest of modern Iran, this was the very first capital of the Achaemenid Empire. Standing alone on the plain is the first contradiction to the more violent Greek legends, the Tomb of Cyrus the Great. The architecture of this limestone monument is a physical synthesis of his empire. It blends structural styles from Elam, Babylon, and Egypt, perfectly reflecting the integration of his conquered territories. Centuries later, Alexander the Great marched his armies through this region. Greek records from that campaign state that Alexander's men entered this exact stone structure and found Cyrus's remains securely resting inside a golden coffin. This creates a geographical problem for Herodotus. If Cyrus was defeated in the distant eastern steppes and his body was defiled and kept by a vengeful queen, his remains would likely never have reached southwest Iran. If Cyrus's body was indeed laid to rest in a royal tomb at Pasargadae, the story of his missing, blood-soaked head begins to look less like history and more like myth. Further evidence is carved into Mount Behistun in the Zagros Mountains. This is the Behistun Inscription, a massive cliff-face relief commissioned by Darius I, a Persian ruler who took power a few years after Cyrus's death. The text carved into this rock lists the eastern Scythian tribes as subjugated subjects of the empire. Crucially, the inscription notes they were already subjects when Darius took the throne. In the short gap between Cyrus and Darius, his son Cambyses held the throne, but records show he never campaigned east. This chronological hurdle suggests the eastern frontier was likely secured by Cyrus before he fell. If Cyrus subjugated these tribes, it confirms he was indeed waging war in the eastern territories at the end of his life, making Xenophon's version of a peaceful death in bed highly unlikely. But it also challenges Herodotus. By explicitly listing the eastern tribes as defeated subjects, the physical record indicates that the Persian campaign wasn't a catastrophic failure. They appear to have won the war. When we weigh the evidence, the inconsistencies in the major Greek accounts become clear. Xenophon's peaceful ending is contradicted by the record of Eastern warfare, and Herodotus's total defeat is contradicted by the territorial lists and the existence of the tomb. That brings us back to the account of Ctesias. He recorded that Cyrus suffered a fatal wound in battle, but that his army ultimately won the fight. This middle ground aligns with the territorial borders literally carved into the Behistun inscription. It also provides a logical explanation for the tomb at Pasargadae. Ctesias noted that Cambyses retrieved his father's body after the victory, allowing it to be brought home and laid to rest in a golden coffin. While no ancient account is perfect, Ctesias is the only historian whose narrative matches the landscape and the archaeological record left by the Persians themselves. History is often remembered through its most dramatic and violent legends, but the grounded story of Cyrus the Great is best found in the stones and the architecture he left behind, evidence that manages to cut through the myths.